Starting in the parking lot of Mount Mitchell State Park, Mellow filled out our overnight permit, while Point and I tried to figure out where in the heck we were going. All Point and I really knew is that we were starting at Mount Mitchell, which is the highest point east of the Mississippi that towers at 6,684 feet, taller than Klingman's Dome by a whopping 41 feet. Point and I are usually particular about where we are going, and we always research in advance the trails and locations of key points. This time, however, I knew that Mellow had a lot of experience on these trails and figured research ahead of time was unnecessary. We headed down the Balsam Nature Trail, which would then intersect with the Mount Mitchell Trail, which is also known as the Mountain Sea Trail, then over to Buncombe Horse Trail, and finally on down to Maple Camp Bald. We have been having a lot of rain on and off for the last few days, which made for a very wet trail, but more water sources is almost always better than less water sources.
So, grandfather's in the mist. Like thorn is, right?
Once on the Buncombe Horse Trail, it changed from a wet trail to a very mushy and wet trail. Luckily, Mellow forewarned us of this, and we all wore mid-top waterproof shoes. Well, all of us except the person that forewarned us. Mellow tested the extent of his name fully as he attempted to navigate the soupy mess of a trail that we walked on for several miles. Here it was, a pretty warm and 51-degree day, and there was still ice to be found on the Black Mountains. In fact, on these mountains are some of the few places in the southeast where snow has fallen at some point in every single month. July? August? Yup, at some point in history, it snowed here, even in those months. I've been told that Bobo has been done a disservice in these videos because she has not been given fully the attention she deserves. Bobo, which is short for Bojangles, was named by my wife Queen, and is a 2-year-old Australian Shepherd. She carries only her own food and up to a liter of water that is for her own use. She is a great companion all around, but she has just recently really started to come into understanding trail etiquette and how to respond to other people on the trail. Being an alert dog, she is still learning, mostly that not everyone shares their food quite like Dad does, but her training is coming along quite nicely. About 3/4 of a mile before Maple Camp Bald is a very cool spot called Fork Ridge, where we stopped for a few minutes and enjoyed the views. From here you could see Mount Mitchell, Mount Craig, and Big Tom. Within half a mile of our destination was our last water source. Here we filled up with water. It is also where the Big Tom Spur intersects with the Buncombe Horse Trail, which is the trail we will be taking tomorrow morning in order to get up to the Black Mountain Crest Trail and back to the start. Maple Camp Bald is at 5,613 feet. And from here you face almost due east and are provided with an excellent overlook of Lake James. For such an awesome place, we were lucky to have it all to ourselves. Point was hammocking, as he usually does, and explored around in order to find some trees that he could hang his hammock from. In the process, he also found some firewood that someone left, and being the great fire builder that he is, set about getting a fire started almost instantly. Bobo had different plans. She needed a nap after the jaunt down the mountain. She climbed into the tent without any direction, made herself comfy, and proceeded to take a nap until it was dinner time. I was hungry since I had skipped lunch and quickly set up my tent and got to cooking my dinner. Before I left the house, I had started cold soaking dehydrated ground beef that was left over from a big batch that I had made for the long trail back in September. I dumped that into my pot with some water, dropped in the potato soup mix, and eventually brought it all to a boil. In order to save almost a pound in weight, I brought my hexamine stove. While it does save weight, it also takes a lot longer to cook with, even longer if it is windy. And right now, there was a constant 10-mile-an-hour wind that blew right over the bulb. Just enough to keep it feeling colder than it was, and also enough to make my dinner take almost twice as long to cook. This provided Point with plenty of time to get his fire going. I have to admit, I had my doubts since there was very little tinder around. But Point persevered. He even pulled dead grass in order to have some kind of tinder. His hard work was rewarded with a roaring fire. While I waited for my dinner to cook, I enjoyed the smoky blue haze that gives these mountains its name. Being on a bald, I wondered where we were and thought I'd give a perspective as seen from the top of Mount Mitchell. With my stomach full, I set about drinking my tea, listening to the wind, and simply taking in the view before me. By 8 p.m., I was already starting to fade. Shortly after Point made his cup of tea, we all called it a night and headed to our tents for some much-needed rest. While the sunset had few colors, the sunrise was a whole new show, with the sun lighting up the clouds with a vibrant crimson that was pretty amazing. Some of us were greeted with great enthusiasm, whether it was wanted or not. The wind had stopped sometime in the middle of the night, which made the morning almost feel warm. We had agreed the day before that we would pack up and go to the water source for breakfast, so we broke camp and got moving after taking our time enjoying the morning sunrise. I completely forgot to record anything for breakfast. Luckily, Mellow did. I made tea while Point and Mellow made coffee, and each of us ate granola or oatmeal or bars for breakfast. We had been promised a good climb this morning, and we all fueled up in anticipation. The climb was the Big Tom Spur trail that rises 600 foot in elevation over 0.37 miles. It sure was a nice way to get warm in the morning. Hi Chuck, you ready for the up part?
Let's do the up part next.
Okay, finally. So Greg told us that there was a really steep climb. So now that we've hit the Black Mountain Crest Trail, we're hoping to actually finally hit that steep climb. We just came up from the Buncombe Horse Trail. That took what, 5 minutes or so? So, steep climb ahead, I think. Well, we're now back all at the top of the Big Tom Trail. Is that what it was?
Yeah, Big Tom Spur.
Big Tom Spur. And this is the Black Mountain Crest Trail here, right? Yep. Okay. So now it's like, what, 1.75 miles? Two-ish? The 2 miles that remained between us and the car included Big Tom itself, as well as Mount Craig. Both of them provide ropes to use to help ascend the steep bumps. This section reminds me a lot of the Long Trail, with the roots, the climbs, and the evergreens all around.
So right over there is Grandfather Mountain.
Okay.
I was trying to decide if you could tell, like by eye, if it was higher. But I mean, it's certainly the same order of magnitude.
So do you think you could, if you use the sextant, do you think you could figure
I
out?
think if you had, you know, some pretty simple tools, you could probably determine that you're higher, but you'd be ignoring curvature of the Earth. Probably you could because of distance.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not at the top of anything right now. So.
Nope.
But yeah, that's impressive that they figured all that out.
Very. This part of the Black Mountain Crest Trail is definitely what I call fun. With its ups and downs, it makes you stretch the legs and gets the heart pumping. It's beautiful, it's tough, and it's absolutely amazing. Mount Craig is 663 feet tall, which makes it the second highest mountain east of the Mississippi. Yes, that means it's 4 feet taller than Clingman's Dome. I only found this out while researching information for this video. I'm learning things every day. Being so close to the top of Mount Mitchell, Point and I decided to go ahead and drop our packs at the car and go ahead up the rest of the way to look around.